Hey, it's CJ Miller, and yeah, what I'm doing is basically nothing that I haven't talked about before. This whole like thing going on with my YouTube channel, I was kind of like have a backdrop of the chicken wings, and then it was kind of gonna last for a while too, and it's like, oh my god, I really got to. Uh, Snooping around and looking, and I found my chicken wing solution a lot faster than I anticipated. But I'm about to give you the latest, which I've posted before. These are pecan crusted chicken wings. They don't have to be pecan flavor, but they're pecan flavored. Really, I'll show you the package. Hold on. So here's the package, and I get them from Walmart. Now I can uh, bread a hot wing without a tremendous amount of flavor, bread it and fry it, and come up with something very similar to this. Uh, this is great, uh, but it's not where the magic is, other than the fact that it is a chicken wing. So it's real simple. The magic is in this bowl. It's Crystal hot sauce. This is the product that I like to use, and yeah, it's a Crystal hot sauce. And so I just take the wings, roll it around in the Crystal hot sauce. It's got to be Crystal. Tabasco doesn't do it. Louisiana hot sauce doesn't do it. There are other types of sauces that don't do it, uh, but this in particular, this Crystal hot sauce, uh, it's a little bit hotter than the blazing wings that I was trying to recreate. And then, of course, I've got some smoked sausage that I put on the pan with it also. But so when I do something, I can make something and generally make dinner and then have leftovers the next day. And so I can get away with cooking maybe two, sometimes every 3 days, And then sometimes I just get after it and want to do, I need to be busy and I'll cook more frequently, like every day or a couple of times a day or something. But uh, uh, yeah. So I'm gonna go outside. I'm gonna carry you out there with me, the phone, and I'm gonna make a little video out there and we'll chat. So this couch was in my living room. I moved it outside. It's really outdoor furniture. So my name is CJ Miller. I'm in Shreveport, Louisiana, and yeah. So what I wanted to do is just come out and just take in the day, enjoy it. I want to let you know that I'm in Shreveport, Louisiana, across the Red River from beautiful Bossier City, Louisiana. And yeah, it's been a great day. Uh, uh, a low impact day or whatever. Yeah, not too much going on, but look how beautiful this sky is. We had some rain uh, last week, and it's like it bummed me out because I really couldn't get out and do some things that I wanted to do when it's raining. And yeah, because it's like, oh my god, I don't really want to. I don't really. Who wants to go out in the rain? Like, what am I? Like 6 or 7 years old. I used to love to play in the rain. We had this rule. We could go out. We could splash around in the rain and all that kind of stuff. As long as it wasn't. As long as there was no rumbling of thunder. When we started to hear thunder and lightning, we couldn't be out in the rain. So we could be out in a light shower, but we couldn't be out in a torrent, like a torrential storm. So, uh, did anybody ever play in the rain when they were little kids? I remember this one time though, and for some reason, and I don't know how, and we were living in Bossier City, uh, and the place is called Riverwood now, but it used to be called Plantation Park, and I was going to Plantation Park Elementary School. It was my kindergarten year, but we were playing out in the rain, and it wasn't really. I remember there was like along the curb, there was a little bit of uh, flash flooding or whatever. It was fine for the kids, but it wasn't like real heavy or anything like that. It was very shallow. We weren't doing anything dangerous. So mom was out there with us and everything. But I remember, for some reason, there were ants. Just they came out of nowhere. Ants, like it was almost like And so this, let me tell you about this. This was around the time that Suzanne Summers did that movie about the ants that like just killed everything, you know. And so there was that going on, and then this was Empire of the Ants time with Joan Collins, and this was Suzanne Summers' Ants time when that movie Ants and stuff like that. So around that time, we had just seen this these things. So so me, this little kindergarten kid, and all of a sudden there's these little red fire ants or whatever, the ones that bite, and so yeah, like oh yeah, you know. uh, Seems like I was always getting in ants. Sometime later, it was so funny as we moved down south. Nothing ever really happened down there. I lived basically in a bayou and never got attacked by anything. We moved back up here 3 years later. I was 8, maybe. Yeah, I hadn't quite turned 9 years old yet, uh, or maybe I was about to turn. I don't know, but I do know that yeah, we were out in the backyard, my sister and I just kind of playing around, kind of wrestling around in the grass like little kids will do and stuff. And I was in third grade, and for some reason, I found what they call a piss smear bank in old language, an ant bed, basically. And I got bit and I chewed up by a bunch of ants. So, you know, uh, I don't know. I was like a uh, lightning rod for ant bites or something like that. Yeah, slightly phobic of ants, not to the degree of being like slightly phobic of some dogs. When I was around that same time, 8 years old, we had just moved back, and while we were waiting to find an apartment for a couple of months, we were there for about 2 months. With my grandmother, a month to 2 months. It weren't there very long, long enough to make friends with the little boy around the corner. Now he had a pet Doberman Pinscher, and we didn't know much about this, but the boy's dog was very friendly. Everything. I still don't blame the dog, but yeah, we went into the yard, and oh, all things considered, I was so fortunate. Uh, like an 8-year-old kid, and my sister was there with us too. And there was a tire swing in the yard hanging down. I remember this because it was so cool. A little dog came out. It wasn't a little dog; it was a big, huge dog. He was as big as I was because I was a short person for 8 years old. And he came out and walked over to us. And yes, we did pet him, and he didn't growl or anything like that. I do remember being a little kid, and what happened was we pet him, and um, was talking about how we were going to get a dog like him one day. And I smiled at him. I grinned at him, you know. And I think that's what triggered him. You know, you have to let children know when you're around dogs, you don't smile and bare your teeth, maybe, because that might seem like an act of aggression, and you don't uh, gaze them directly in the eyes or whatever. But anyway, whatever, something triggered in him, and he jumped up, and he didn't actually bite me. I think he barked at me, and his big, huge, heavy claw swiped at me. And so I don't think he wasn't intending to like uh, go on the attack or kill or anything like that. But there was just he got me. He tore, like, I'll show you one day. It looks like a little vein in my ear, but you probably can't see it right there. Close up of my ear. I'll have to look and see there, but it's like yeah. So my ear hanging loose. And we had to get it stitched back up. And then there, in uh, you know, um, in coincidence, there's a scar in the back of my head under my hairline, that what's left of my hair, that that the doctors missed, and they probably would have sewn. Because they had a big, huge claw, you know, and he must have caught my ear and uh, kind of tore around the back of it also, or maybe where I fell down and hit my head. I don't know what it would happen so fast. I didn't notice it. And when something like that happened to me, and it happened a lot because I was like just a really, I don't know. I was a very tame kid, and for being a kid that really just didn't do anything, like as far as like take many risks physically or anything like that, just I don't know. Things like that seem to happen. Uh, uh, you know, it was weird, but yeah, just a lot of. I know they probably thought in the ER that I was getting like beaten at home or something like that, but I wasn't. I like literally just um, yeah, I had like a lot of accidents, natural accidents, tripping over my own feet, not looking where I was going, that kind of stuff. So anyway, yeah. So after that, I did for the longest time have like a phobia of dogs, regardless of their size, how little or the. And I tell you, a little Chihuahua is a vicious little thing if you don't know them. And they'll just, I mean, they'll just like, they come at you with their little voices and just, kind of like nip at your ankles and stuff like that. But hey, yeah. Feral animals can do a lot of damage because they're not held back by um, consciousness or conscience. You know what I mean? Like if an animal or a pet or something like that is following its instinct, then the only thing that's happening is, just what can I say? In that moment, uh, there's no time to think should I or shouldn't I or anything like that. And there was I will say after. Um, After that, because the dog, he basically just like knocked me down, the Doberman, uh, and then just kind of like walked around. There was no like a tagger. He wasn't like, he was just like, hey, don't bare your teeth at me kind of thing or whatever. So that's something. Sometimes I don't always know what I'm going to talk about. Um, uh, Large breed dogs are really fun. I wish I could turn this camera around. I'll just finish my point. Large breed dogs are really fun and they're lovable. I love them now. But what you want to do with large breed dogs, and they're basically babies if you baby them, and they'll stay that way, is that you want to, the people in your life, you want to let them know how to communicate with animals and, communicate with them in a way that's non-triggering. Animals don't like, well, this camera shows like every bit of streak or dust on this old TV. This TV is like uh, it's about 15 years old. I need to maybe upgrade. I had a bigger one and then I broke it. Anyway, yeah, but the whole idea, it was like a 65-inch TV and I bumped into it one day and it wasn't like propped up very well. It's in the old apartment and it just like kind of like teetered and just kind of like fell over and cracked. And I was like, oh no, well, at least I had this one. Anyway, yeah, when you encounter a dog, um, don't there are some things you don't do. Like you don't just gaze into its eyes. You have to if you're gonna approach it to see if it needs a pet or something, you come uh, underneath its chin. Come from underneath its chin, and you don't smile. Happy. We had the same instance, and it wasn't me. It was my former roommate. Whom I subletted from some time ago. He had two girls that lived with us, and he had his dog Thor. Great dog, Thor. And one of his daughters was very um, friendly and very active and smiled a lot and everything like that. And I think something like that may have happened because uh, like they were over one day and because he shared custody of the daughters. They went back and forth between their parents, and so they were in their room one day, and the younger girl or whatever, just I don't know what happened. He just sort of like just kind of went crazy and kind of like backed her into a corner and stuff like that. And then the next morning, I think she went to hug him too, and he had like a reaction to it or something like that. So dogs don't like to suddenly, and once they're spooked, uh, an animal, there's not really that much you can do. If a specific person spooks them out, then if an animal has taken a dislike to a person, they're not really going to come around to like them again. Um, it's and some animals are easier to control and than others, but some dogs, some breeds uh, have uh, it didn't really matter the breed of dog. I mean, they can make a great pet, but say a dog like a beagle, it's really a beagle is going to be really loyal to one person and is not really going to bother with the rest of the family so much. Whereas some other animals are great for family dogs, cocker spaniels and stuff like that make good uh, family dogs. Once you're like in their little pack or whatever, um, yeah, that's just it. It's just know the breed or the mixes of the breeds that you're working with, know their particular things, and yeah, know what the challenges are. I was gonna have a beagle here in this new apartment, uh, and then because we didn't know what he was, but I looked at him and then I compared him online. He looked like a beagle or a beagle and a blend of some other kind of hound, and it's like, okay, so they don't uh, housebreak as well as some other dogs. And when I realized that, I was like, oh, well, I'm not really going to be able to keep this dog then. Plus, I took some garbage out to the dumpster, and I left him inside while I did that, and he just went like nuts and started like ramming his head against the door. And I was really nervous that if I had to leave him in the apartment for any uh, certain amount of time, that he would have like anxiety and maybe tear the apartment up, or if I put him in a room uh, that he couldn't tear things up, he might hurt himself by trying to claw his way out of a room or something like that. So I couldn't deal with that type of damage. Uh, so he was not going to be, even though he was a beagle, he was not going to be suitable for me because I can't take him everywhere with me, and I don't have a yard for when I need to go somewhere. Like if you have a yard, even if you're gonna have a dog like a beagle or something like that, you could put them in the yard when you can't go home, when you can't be home, and then bring them into the house. The worst thing you do with the dog though is put them in a yard and never give them uh, attention or affection or something like that. If you're gonna have a dog, even if he's a yard dog, you got to go out and spend time with that yard dog. You got to let him know who his tribe is. Because dogs are social creatures, and can you imagine the sadness and the solitude of not having a connection to other creatures and beings and stuff like that? So yeah. Okay. Anyway, yeah. I guess I started talking and I was like, hey. So I went from like, yeah, let's eat the hell out of chickens to now I'm talking about like, uh, you know, just basic common sense of animals. Basically, uh, oh, let me check something out. Basically, my level of caring is this plant, which I needed to support this leaf, this one leaf right here, because while it grew up a little bit, I wanted to give it some support, and it's growing well. This one leaf, though, broke off from right here, and it wasn't like a break. It got heavy and it leaned in on itself. You see, even with the weight of it. So I put this here to kind of give it some support. Little maraca, little little maraca, and it's working because at first it was kind of laying against this one, and yeah, so a little support there. I hope the weight of the maraca doesn't push this one down. I want to be careful about that. I think it's going to be doing okay. Um, if you overwater or over nutrient a plant, overfeed it or overwater it, it will grow too fast. Especially an aloe is what I'm talking about. In particular, what I've read is that they grow a little bit too fast. They grow faster than their skin. Uh, they grow faster than their skin grows tough. And so it's kind of a balance there. It's kind of a little dance back and forth. You want to do that. So anyway, I took the one that I noticed that it had a tear in the leaf due to the weight of it, and there was some sap coming out of it. So what I did was I cut it and then I planted it in the soil, and hopefully, and it was already, I didn't trim it from that end, somebody, but hopefully what I'm hoping is that it will uh, grow some roots and entangle with the other ones, and they'll support each other, and it'll be like a, it'll just reincorporate with the plant. Uh, we'll see. Uh, if not, maybe it can add some sort of mulch or something like that, or some sort of quality, healthy quality to the plant, or something like that. I don't, in the soil of the plant. I don't know how it all works. I'm working on it, but yeah, with yeah, it's a good looking plant though. This is growing out well. This little piece underneath here that broke off, and it broke off before I had it. So it's growing and getting strong and everything because it was not sticking out. So I've noticed some growth. This, when I brought the plant home, this little piece right here was about half as big as it is now. And yeah, so what I'll do, and it takes about 2 years, I've read, for uh, an aloe vera plant, this particular type of aloe vera. It takes about 2 years for it to come to maturity. And I don't know when my friend Mike first planted it, but I know that it's looking busier right now because of this being in here. But if I take it out, you get an idea of how it's looking. So yeah, this is one of the ones that when it gets a little bit too heavy uh, and sprawls out like this, it kind of wants to break the weight of it. Uh, and that will happen sometimes one way or another. But what I want to do is I want the leaves to get to be able to be stronger. So what can I do to help keep my plant healthy? Because I want even if this, we see here, it's starting to like fold over. At this point, we don't want this to break. I want it to be supportive and supported, and yeah. Anyway, this is my level of caring that I can give to something right now. I don't think that I could take on an actual animal, a pet, outside of maybe a goldfish or something like that. But even then, I'd probably forget to like change the fish bowl or something. So I don't know. This room here is where I'm just keeping things as I collect them until I'm ready to add the until I'm ready to add decor to the apartment, which is what I was going to do. It was going to be the next part of my after I solved my chicken wing thing. I was going to go to the whole. Let me just get around to collecting things for the walls of my apartment for the decor. The uh, lighter colors and gentle tones and watercolors and you know uh, sort of a gentleness and neutrality. Uh, you know that won't knock things way out of perspective. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to end the video because I'm getting a notice that my battery is running low and some features may be limited. And before it dies, I should say goodbye, love and light. God bless. Love you.